Brandon, the anime guy's here, and he says, "Amigos, in my opinion, as long as the specter of ESG DEI is required for investments, nothing will change in Hollywood. Want to be wrong, fear I am right." Oh yeah, go ahead.
I think you may be wrong, because here's like the thing that, as I've said before in other videos, things are changing, and it's difficult to change because you have these forces resisting the change. But the studios, your Disneys, your Sonys, your Universals, they're not all Disney. Look, for instance, at Universal and what they did with Super Mario. They are also invested in this stuff right here, but they were still able to do it in a way which pleased the audience. Same thing with the Guardians of the Galaxy. There are different ways of doing this. And I think that on their way towards ditching it, the studios will first have to learn to make it more subtle in order just to win over the audience. Because it doesn't help if you have access to ESG-linked credit if you don't have a freaking audience. This is something that Target is finding out right now. They lost, what, 10 billion in a week or something? That was surprisingly efficient. This is something that Busch is very well aware. Yeah, they can do all of everything that they want to do, but if the audience are determined, or their customers are determined that we're done now, and everyone is watching, I assure you, everyone, not just Hollywood, not just the beer industry, but everyone is watching what is happening right now, because this is the audience and the customers rising against this stuff. And that is something that no ESG money in the world can address.
And this is what I was going to say, and I think why our video hasn't been flagged down yet by YouTube. They're going to start realizing that we know what's going on here and how this works.
Oh, because there's the other side of this. Hiding it.
Yeah, the other side of this is, how do they get money out of this besides like the groups that I mentioned before, like political driven groups. The other way is the whole ESG points and on their credit score. Like, this is the scary part to me, in that, how many points did Bud Light lose in this whole thing on their credit score? So now they're looking at it as, okay, so we lost so much millions this week on sales, but they're more worried about the money they can't borrow later down the road because of this. That's another problem here.
Well, yeah, every studio makes stuff off of credit and loans. They don't use liquid cash, and in order to way for them to still get those good credit score points from such investors and also earn a profit is basically to find creative ways to appease both sides, where it's like, okay, so you want diversity, equity, and inclusion with regards to the characters. So you have to get a team in there to be like, okay, these are the parameters. Now you have to make these characters good, likable, accessible to audiences that they'll actually want to see again, and a very good story. And it's a very tricky thing to balance, and only the most creative people can pull that off. I think Super Mario did an okay job doing that. I mean, it was fun. It appeased a lot of people, and it leaned on some things. But I mean, still has a lot of its own flaws and errors to it overall. But that's a closer step in the right direction to basically stave off this essentially hostage maneuver that some of these companies are doing with the studios and with creative entertainment.
Yeah, it's very much so. And it's how they interject their politics and bullshit into this. So, yeah. And, if anything, start spreading those videos as much as possible, because I have a feeling the algorithm is not going to be as kind to them.
Yes, please do that. I mean, we're seeing the drop-off already. So when we tell you, please help like, please help share, we really do mean that. Because, this algorithm is going to show you to a certain extent, but that's going to stop, and it's going to stop real soon if you want the message spread. And I don't think there's cultured. Is there any video that breaks down ESG and stakeholder capitalism most recently the way that our videos have done recently?
No, your videos are doing exactly what needs to be done. People hear the words or the letters ESG or CEI or all these other terms, and it's kind of a disconnect. Your videos have taken it to the next level, explained it in the best possible way, easily digestible. And it's available for anybody to understand exactly what's happening. And Tom was actually just talking about how they lost a version of a credit score at Bud Light because they didn't support the influencer that they hired.
And they lost their CEI score.
Yes, and which is the corporate equity index, which is directly tied to that particular part of this equation. And it really hurt them. Target's desperately trying not to lose that, but at the same time, they're all involved in this company that I'm going to expose, or not company, excuse me, this organization that I'm going to expose later this week in a video I'm doing, and I hope that Andre will do a video on it as well. Although we'll have to see. That one's a little murkier and a little more dangerous.
Yeah, so we'll see about that.
I think I will. I'll venture down that path. We'll see what happens to me.
What culture's talking about here is why you see this song and dance with these companies, and it's like, well, why don't they just do this, or why don't they do just that? Well, like the Target thing, for example, they pulled them out of the main area to try to appease one crowd, but they're still there. You can still get them. You can't get them online. You can't get them on the front part of the store. But if you ask somebody, they'll just take you to the shit in the back. It's still there. So they're thinking that's going to save their ass on this. It's not. They're going to have the same problem that Bud Light had.
Yeah.
Like,
and also
Bud Light did the same thing. Yeah, it was a song and dance. They were trying to play both sides, and it's not going to work.
And because of that, they really have to double down right now for Pride Month, which we're seeing already. I've seen like some people are like surprised. Why are they doubling down? Well, they need to get their EIC score back up again. That's why.
Because they lost a bunch of points. Yep.
The vociferous right, however, have got to be careful about overplaying their hand. The North Face stuff, I think, was they've taken a little bit of, they've gotten a few really good victories. Even Target, I think, made a mistake with what they were displaying. However, North Face, I saw their ads. They were marketing to gay individuals who like hiking and being outdoors, and that was it. They were not encouraging kids to be
anything else.
Gay hikers.
I agree, Paul. What you're saying is we can't be jumping at ghosts. Yeah, you can't. Yeah, I agree with
ghosts. And I
can't be chasing ghosts. Exactly. Yeah.
So if you've got some,
I agree with that, Paul. That's a very good point.
Very good point. Then don't overplay your hand, because then suddenly you're giving an opening to the Bud Lights of the world.
Right.
So no, you're absolutely correct, Paul. And this is what we've said before on certain movie reviews and other things too, because just because something may lean into something, you can't, it's woke. It's woke. It's like, is it really though? No, it's not.
No.
Not in all cases. You're just jumping at shadows or chasing ghosts, as we were just saying. And
just
something like that
is black person on screen doesn't have to mean that it's woke.
Exactly.
Just because there's a gay person in the advertising doesn't have to mean that there's an
agenda or something. Yeah, it's basically people are now flinching at nothing. There's no fortitude within the individual when they're seeing these types of things. They flinch, they react, they have a knee-jerk reaction, and they scream like in I'm forgetting the actor's name, but sorry,
Sam Kinison?
No, Donald Sutherland in Invasion of the Body Snatchers.
Oh yeah, that thing, yeah.
So I'm always trying to be watchful for that. And even with The Littlest Mermaid, I went, okay, let's see if the movie's good. I mean, yeah.
We ran into it a few times. And Mario Brothers recently, people were kind of.
But because of social media, there are people who make bank on the fact that they can raise ire. That's just the nature of it.
But also, here's the thing, Paul, though, because it's not just that people can raise bank, what have you. There's a context that has made people now so hypersensitive to this.
There's that too.
That is why. There's a reason why people are hypersensitive. That's because they have fed up. They are being bombarded 24/7, told that they're craps and piece of shit and stuff like that, that they're all kinds of ists and phobes, and then everything is shoved in their face, and that means that people are starting to have enough, and that's when you also start seeing ghosts when there aren't any, which one has to be careful about. But one has to keep in mind, even people that overreact, they don't overreact for no reason. They don't so in a vacuum.
Social media has created a troll class. So that's part of the challenge too, is if you go back to even Gamersgate, the trap that they fell into was there was a group of sarcastic, nasty, I'm going to have some fun with this shit, contingent of gamers, which is part of the culture. And the problem was the mainstream press, which for decades, well, not decades, maybe a few decades, has blamed video games. Every year they came out with a story about how video games increases, rape and murders and gun violence and mass murders. So that group of individuals that, went off on the Gamergate thing and had some fun at the expense of what people I won't mention. Unfortunately, they played into the hands of the mainstream media, who went, "Oh, look at those misogynist assholes," when that was just not just a small minority of the Gamergate group, but these people did that on purpose. I mean, this was their fun.
You know what that was? That's called self-fulfilling prophecy, because that is what
go.
the media had gone and basically created.
Correct.
And then you have some people are going to be like, they're going to be trolls anyway. You always have that anywhere. But
and
many
then they
more
were
of
exploited.
them were like, okay, so that is the box you put me in. And this is not just gamers. This is everywhere. This is across society. Whenever people are boxed in, people are falsely accused of being this, that, or whatever. You certainly have this in like many places where you have like a lot of immigration, and certain groups are accused of being not exactly productive members of society, let's say, and then many of them have become like, well, you know what? You don't give me a chance. Fuck you. I'm going to be exactly what you tell me I am.
Yep.
This is something that you have, and I submit that was the case with the whole Gamergate as well. Like,
and we're getting to that point with this.
Some of them were genuine, but many of them, they were created by that thing that were media driven.
No, and you're exactly right, Andre, because I've even had that moment where I'm like, you know what? Fuck it. I'm an istophobe, because I'm not going to put whatever specific one I said at that time, just so I don't get into that business. But the point is like, whatever. If that's what you say it is, then that's what I miss, because you guys change the goalposts so often, every day of the week, sometimes several times a day, to where nobody knows what nothing is anymore. And I've gotten to this point where I've just had enough. But getting back to what we were talking about before, there is something to be said about, jumping at shadows and some of the things that we have done in the past. And you're right, Paul, we have to watch that and be careful, because otherwise we're going to become exactly what they are claiming we are. That's the problem. Yes.
That is the issue. And I'm trying to be always watchful about
absolutely.
Well, it's also part of the goal too of pushing that far, is to make the people become what they are being accused of.
Well, and that is why we need people like Paul that also can like push back and point that out.
Yeah. Yep.
And we find a balance.
Then back to super chats here. Valientes, I think I'm saying that right. I hope. $10 says Splash Mountain last day is tomorrow at Disneyland, so get out there and check it out if you haven't yet, because it's last chance. Bad week for Disney Splash because of supposed racism. Yeah, I roll.
I thought it was already taken down.
No, they had made the decision to. Yeah, from Folklores of Brer Rabbit and Uncle Remus, a shaman-like storyteller, Walt understood these things. Yeah, I've talked about this with quite a few people, in fact, and they agreed. Like Lorena and I had a great conversation about how these were stories that were passed down through families, and basically the fact that they call this movie racism is really kind of bullshit, because nobody else was making these kind of movies back then.
Nope.
The fact that Walt Disney decided to preserve these stories this way says a lot, and the fact that Disney is trying to destroy them now, or trying to pretend they don't exist, is even more revolting.
And is called a racist story.
I think that is completely disgusting, because you know what those stories are from. Like, I love folklore. Like, I'm not a folklorist myself. I cannot claim that, but I love folklore. I love mythology. I absolutely love comparative mythology. And what Disney has done right here, both with the censorship of the movie Song of the South and of this whole thing here, is that they have taken genuine African American culture, folklore, stories, mythology, and they have decided that this is racist and canceled it. And that is disgusting beyond words.
Yeah, it is. And look, if you still want to see this attraction, it's at a vastly superior Disney park that's operated by Oriental Land Company in Tokyo. So if you want to go and check out Splash
I'm not going to go all the way to Japan to go to Disney World.
It's pointed out in the chat that that the Japanese have given Disney officially the middle finger when it comes to this attraction and many other things, because again, it's vastly superior there. The park is cleaner, more well maintained in Tokyo. If you're looking for that Disneyland experience you got when you were a child, it's in Tokyo, folks.
But yeah, no, Andre is completely correct. I agree. It's a very racist thing for them to keep this down, because it is a preservation of Black culture in America. And there's a lot of people that felt it was just that. It was a love letter to those stories. And what individuals are seeing is just little minor nitpicks about it. They're deciding to keep it.
Although it is a ride that needed updating.
That may be a different discussion. You're not wrong there. Maybe, Paul, like, there is something to be said. Like, I'm sad that I could never go see the old King Kong ride or Jaws ride at Universal anymore. But guess what? Universal knows what they're doing, and they've updated constantly. You know, Back to the Future ride and E.T. are other things that went away eventually. But guess what? Harry Potter is what the kids are into now. Mario and stuff are what the kids are into now. I get it. I totally get it. It's just things change. But guess what? They're going with the wings of change in the right direction as to where Disney's going the other direction, it feels like. I think it's kind of the point we're getting at.
This clip was taken from Midnight's Edge in the Morning, which streams live every Monday, Wednesday and Friday at 9 a.m. Pacific Time on the Midnight's Edge main channel. There you can send in your live questions and comments before clips and full stream replays are uploaded to Midnight's Edge live archives. We are also on Twitter, Rumble, Odyssey and Facebook, so smash that like, help share, subscribe and join us.